Good afternoon, everybody. Drew Griffin here with Delicious Marketing on behalf of the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm super privileged, excited, and just jacked up to be hanging out with a very, very special guest. But before we jump into that, we've got Bill Vitiello, who is I'm going to let him do his introduction. Bill is the amazing host of Chamber Chat. And we're going to dive right into it. And we're not going to delay anything because we've got time and we want to be very respectful of our guest time as well. So without further ado, Bill Vitiello, please take it away.
Drew, thank you. You are always excited for these Chamber Chat lives.
I am.
It doesn't just need to be today, but thank you for putting this all together. You head the Delicious Marketing team, and tell you what, you do amazing work. Not only with this, but your normal course of business. So thank you again for putting this together. Appreciate it.
Got it. I'm looking forward to the interview. Enjoy. Yeah.
Also want to thank Eileen. Eileen is back at the Facebook headquarters at the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to thank her. She's monitoring the live comments. And during the course of this interview, if you do have any questions or comments for our guest today, please feel free to drop them in the comments box. We also like to thank our sponsor of Chamber Chat Live, the Ben Exchange, your friends for business benefits. So my guest today is Meredith Jacks. Meredith is the broker and co-owner of Styer Real Estate. So welcome to Chamber Chat Live.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How's it going for you?
Well, broad question.
Yeah.
That's a loaded one.
It's actually going
great. It's going great. So real estate, I'm sure a lot of people have been kind of paying attention. It was one of the industries, I think, most impacted by the COVID shutdown. So I think a lot of people have been paying attention to what's happening in real estate, but busy. Everybody's busy. Houses are selling. I know that the market is definitely not slowing down like I think some people thought it would. So things are good.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later on in the interview. But let me, you and I don't know each other. So I know nothing about Meredith. So please tell me a little bit about yourself and what you'd like to share with the audience.
Okay. So I am a resident of South Coventry Township, which also happens to be where I was born and raised. I went to O&J Roberts High School and graduated in 19-something. I'll leave that one to imagination.
All good. All good.
But after graduation, I went out and started working for a corporate restaurant company called California Pizza Kitchen. And I did training and development with them for about 10 years. And after I decided that maybe corporate wasn't exactly what I was looking for, it happened to coincide with the market crash in 2008, 9, 10. So I decided to get my real estate license and kind of surprise my father, who at the time was running Kenneth R. Styer Real Estate, which was on the corner of Route 23 and 100 for many years. So I sort of quit my big time, secure money-making corporate job and decided to move home and start working with my father. That actually coincided with him closing his office, which was the best move at the time. It really was. 2010 was a rough year. He was ready for retirement. I was not. I was actually ready to just kind of get on board and start working. So I sort of drug him out of retirement, and we ended up joining with a couple different brokerages over the last 10 years. And 3 years ago, I just decided that it was time to come back home and come back to Pottstown and work where I live. And it was the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah. And that's, I often hear that's the hardest thing to do is to leave something that's a corporate gig, right?
Yeah.
And go to something that's a little bit more independent. And you gotta, some folks will say you gotta sing for your supper, right?
Yeah. And to be honest, I was baking for my gas money. When I left the restaurant business, I didn't have a plan. It was one of those, I felt deep down inside that my father could use my help, and maybe he didn't really need it, but I think that was what I was feeling at the time. And so I just decided to give notice at my job. Now, they were kind enough to I was a general manager for 3 different store locations, working 3 days a week, but getting a full-time salary. So I felt valuable at the time, and they kind of let me sort of shift myself into the realm of real estate, but it wasn't a lot of real estate to be sold in 2010, 11, 12. So I ended up opening a bakery out of my house and basically baking banana bread to fill my gas tank and go out and show houses. And then everything just sort of started to unfold.
Just go from there. Yeah. And I think folks can appreciate, again, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, folks can appreciate that hard work ethic. And I'm sure you bring that to a lot of your clients. Explain to me a little bit, I guess, how you would engage somebody if they were interested in, buying a home or had questions about a home. I'm sure you have maybe you have a specific process.
We do. So Styer Real Estate's a boutique brokerage. And what that means is that we kind of take a different approach to real estate. It's not just buying and selling of property. We very much treat it like a hospitality industry, which I bring from the restaurant business, obviously. So we sort of molded real estate and the restaurant business into something I call hospitality. And so instead of just the traditional, like, oh yeah, you want to see this house, let me go out and show you, it's more of a concierge type program. We bring them into the office, we get to know them, find out what their needs are, what they really want. And, I had a very unfortunate purchase in 2005, which I also think is one of the things that contributed to me wanting to be in the real estate industry, is that I didn't have a great first home purchase. And I fell into the 80-20 loan situation where I had a balloon payment. I didn't even know what that meant at the time. And I ended up basically in foreclosure and gave the house back to the bank. And I'm not afraid to admit that, because that was a very big part of 2005, 6, 7, 8. And I take a lot of what I learned in that process and bring it into how I work with my clients. So, I'm not somebody's mother. I'm not here to tell you, what decisions to make, but I definitely feel a big responsibility to make sure that people are investing their money in something that that's really an investment, and that they have somebody that's really going to take the time to figure out what's best for them instead of just trying to get onto the next sale.
So it's interesting that you're mentioning that, because, there's, I mean, I could be wrong, correct me, but I feel like there's two parts of the home buying process. There's the hard facts, point that you have X house that has this features, and you're dealing with these numbers for a mortgage, but then you're also dealing with the emotional aspect of it.
Sure.
So you have people in a number of different scenarios, whatever it is, whether it's a first time, or maybe they just, sold their home and they're in between homes at the moment, or maybe they're, whatever the situation is. Can you describe that a little bit? And I would imagine that's definitely one of the challenges, right?
It is. I also think it's where we excel, because we aren't out for the next deal. We very much care about our clients' experiences and where they're at in their process. Because of where I grew up, it's a little bit different from, I grew up in the south side of Pottstown, so Chester County, and we don't have a borough here. Pottstown was our borough. But out here, most of the people that live here, their houses were either handed to them from their parents, or their farms that have been handed down generation to generation, or we're dealing with a lot of people in the 70 plus community. And this is the first time they've maybe ever sold a home. So from a sales perspective, from a listing perspective, we deal with, I would say that probably 80% of my sellers are emotional sellers. It's not just a transaction. It's not just a home. It's their life. On the buy side, I think it's very similar. We see a lot of people who, fall in love with these houses, and maybe it doesn't make economic sense for them, but if that's their forever home, it's very different. So we like to, that's part of the program of sitting down and saying, like, what is your goal for the next 5 to 10 years? Do you want to buy this house and sell it to move up? Because if so, just having a really low interest rate doesn't really serve you that great. So people right now that are buying and selling, if you're selling your house, you're getting top dollar. If you're buying, you're paying top dollar. So even though the interest rates are really low, I need to find out what your goals are. If your goals are to buy now and sell quickly, maybe now is not the right time to buy. Maybe we want to wait and see if it does level out to be more of a buyer's market. But it is very much a seller's market right now. So emotions run high with everybody. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because I think, and again, I'm in banking, so I probably ask a lot of the same questions that you do to businesses or to even individuals. And it's interesting that most folks, they might not even know what 5, 10, or 15 years looks like.
Right.
So you're trying to give the best recommendation based on the information that you're given. But I think you, like, most folks, who are engaged in that type of process, would encourage potential clients to, have that kind of plan in the back of their mind and
Sure.
and what they want to do with it. I think that's very important for everyone.
Absolutely. I also see it's also interesting when you're dealing with couples because they're not always necessarily on the same page. So it's kind of nice to, it's, when you sit down and you talk to them for the first time and you say, what are your goals? How long do you want to live here? And the husband says forever. And the wife's like 5 to 10 years. And they say it at the same time. You're like, okay, well, now let's really figure out where you guys want to be and what your goals are. So,
yeah. So tell me what the housing situation was like, over the last 3 months and what it looks like now. Is it still the same as it was before COVID? Does it look a little bit different?
So statistically speaking, the last 90 days, we've been down about 35% in closings, which we're not surprised of because we were basically locked up for 60 days. So realistically, we're only down a third, even though we were shut down for 2/3 of that time. It just makes me believe that the market's hotter than we even realize. Right now, under 300,000, and that's the spot where I'm seeing the most buyers struggle. There's just not much out there. In Chester and Montgomery counties combined, single family homes under 300,000, there are less than 250 homes.
Wow.
I have 17 buyers on my roster right now. I mean, and we're talking 2 huge counties. So I think the biggest challenge we have is just there is a crazy housing shortage. I listed 2 ranch homes, one in Boyertown School District, one in Springford School District in the last month. The one home had 56 showings and 18 offers. The other house had 38 showings and 10 offers. And it's challenging because the phone calls that I was making to these buyer agents, like, hey, I'm really sorry, your folks didn't get it. It wasn't like okay, on to the next. It's like, this is our 5th time putting in an offer. My folks are getting really defeated. So if you are a seller and you are out there and you think it's the time to sell, you are absolutely right.
Yeah, interesting. And I would encourage folks, I'm looking at the comments section. I would encourage folks, if you do have any questions for Meredith, you have an expert, a subject matter expert right here, and she's willing to answer any questions that you have about the home buying process. Maybe it's different types of mortgages. Maybe it's home inspection, whatever that looks like. Please feel free to comment or ask questions of Meredith. Meredith, we talked a little bit about business and we will get back to that. But I want to hear about you personally a little bit. When you're not doing real estate, what do you like to do? What are some of your hobbies and likes?
When I'm not doing real estate. Wow, I wasn't prepared for that because there's not much. Well, I have a phenomenal husband, Sean, and we have 2 bulldogs, Butter and Grits. They're actually usually at the office. We're a very dog-friendly office. So we basically like to leave here to go find the exact same thing 3 or 4 hours away and just relax. So we like hiking, we like the woods, we like to relax. My husband and I bought our newer home in 2018, and we had upsized from a cute little Cape Cod. We only moved 1 street away because that's how my family always seems to work. I think my father moved 10 times while I was in high school, but never left the school district. But the house that I bought is actually was built by a distant cousin of mine. I didn't know that at the time. And she was a landscape architect for Waterloo Gardens. So the last couple years of my life, I've been getting into gardening more because I didn't have a choice. And I absolutely love it. It's one thing that really does ground me. And it's nice to be able to bring fresh flowers from my garden to my clients' houses for staging. And so that's it. We kind of like we're pretty low key. Sometime between age 42 and 43, I started to really enjoy bird watching. I think that's just something that happens in your 40s. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, that's it.
Okay. So for the hiking, and I just have to, I'll kind of share a personal thing with you. Have you discovered the natural lands preserves that are in our area at all?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Crow's Nest is one of our favorite places to go. Mm-hmm. And we're big, one of the things that I love about selling in this town is that I know this town. And so when I'm able to introduce people to St. Peter's Village and Hopewell, and places that maybe they wouldn't just think of right off the bat, it's really cool to get people to see all the beauty here. Because I've traveled, when I was in the restaurant business, I did corporate training and development, and I traveled all over the country. And I literally lived in a different state for 6 weeks at a time. And so I've been exposed to a lot of different places, and I still come back to our area as being one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And we're just so close to everything. It's just, I don't see myself leaving here.
Yeah, we totally agree. My wife and I, we started out in Upper Pottsgrove back in '99, where we purchased a home. And then in 2011, we jumped the river. We're now in North Coventry.
Okay.
So, but we always said if we were to move, like, we really don't want to move from this area. Like, it's very convenient to King of Prussia, Philadelphia.
Yep.
You will get into Jersey. You can go up to Reading. You can reach Allentown, down to Exton. So, I mean, out to Lancaster, you name it. I feel like we're, centrally located for a lot of great things that are in our area, for sure.
Absolutely. I also did forget to mention, I am a huge supporter of small businesses. And I have a food blog called Foodie Finds, where I just highlight dishes of local businesses, places that I enjoy and like to go. So my husband and I are avid eaters, for sure.
Nice. What kind of fare do you like? What's your favorite?
Literally everything.
Yeah.
You can catch me at Burnish's eating a hot sausage. You can catch me at La Maison having a French meal. We pretty much like everything. Our goal is always to just keep it local. So
Okay.
if it's a small business or a newly opened restaurant, you'll absolutely see us there in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah. So how long do you see this market staying the way that it is? I know, look, everybody's got the crystal ball in order and, looking to kind of predict the future. But if you were to give your best guess for the folks out there who might be looking to sell and who are, currently interested in buying or might look at buying, what is your best prediction, I guess?
So, I think a lot of people were anticipating that we were going to have the U-shaped recession of 2008. People were getting really nervous because obviously there are still people out of jobs, people furloughed, and that's going to affect the economy. It's going to affect real estate. And of course, anything that affects real estate affects a million other industries. So the second that you close down real estate, you lose inspectors, photographers, contractors, title companies, insurance. I mean, it's everything. So I think that was a fear that a lot of people had, was that we were just going to bottom out and we were going to see what we saw in 2008. But we're not dealing with subprime mortgages right now. As a matter of fact, most mortgage companies that I know are increasing their minimum credit scores and trying to make it a little more challenging, because it's been, because I think that was a fear for a lot of people, that we were going to bottom out and we were going to see the same thing. In my opinion, I think that we're going to see a small shift back to a more level market. But in order to do that, we just have to have more inventory. So as we move into the green phase, I think things might change a little bit. But, COVID is still a very real thing. And nobody wants to downplay the fact that there is something, catastrophic affecting a lot of people. Our responsibility as a brokerage is just to be respectful of that and make sure that the people that are out there looking to buy are following the rules and regulations that we have set in place to keep people safe, and that the sellers are comfortable with how things are playing out. And honestly, if we get to a point where we are in the green, I think we'll see more houses hit the market. I think we'll see the market pick up a little bit more and level out a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, it's funny all day long. I mean, that's a question I probably get more than anything else. Like, where do you see the market in 6 months?
Right.
Well, in 2019, I remember telling my agents at one of our meetings, be prepared for 2020 to be our last good year.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been saying that since 2016, because we've been great since 2014. So just seeing this increase, it's like, I think in real estate, we're always anticipating that, things just follow the typical curve, goes up and goes down. So, realistically, there's a downturn coming at some point, but I don't think it's going to be drastic, and I don't think it's going to be detrimental like it was, 15 years ago.
Okay. Yeah. Appreciate the insight here. We do have a question here from Diana Zaleski. She's asking, what is something an owner can do to get ready to sell their home if they aren't ready to sell just yet? Should they focus on the inside or for the curb appeal?
That's a good question. Truthfully, you focus on everything, but the best advice that I can ever give somebody is that it's never too early to call a realtor. If you're not thinking of selling for another year, there's no harm in just interviewing somebody or having them come over and tell you some of the things that you really could do to get the max value. Because I see a lot of people, especially when they were home and everybody was going, DIY crazy, and they were doing all these projects. And, I saw a lot of people like, well, I think I'm going to remodel my kitchen. And, well, if you're getting ready to sell your house, maybe these huge projects that don't actually make you your money back aren't the things to focus on. Mm-hmm. Fixer-uppers are selling just as quickly as ready-to-go houses. So what you really need to do is just figure out the best place to spend your money. And the best person to help you do that is a realtor.
Yeah, that's a great answer. And Diana, thank you so much for your question there. That's a great question. Anything else you'd like to share before we wrap things up today, Meredith?
Yeah, I guess I just want to make sure that, everybody out there knows that we are a resource, and that you can contact us with questions, and there are no strings attached. One of the responsibilities that we have as a community leader and a company that really focuses on the people is knowing that we are here for you, that you can call us if you need anything. During COVID, I was encouraging my agents that were comfortable with it to reach out and see how we can help our neighbors. It was really challenging for us to be closed and not be able to do all of the things we're used to doing and kind of participate in all of those sponsorships. So I would just say, if anybody needs the help or the resources, just a phone call, that never hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Meredith, thank you for being a guest today. We'll bring Drew back in here. But in the meantime, I wanted to say that I'm Bill Vitiello from the Victory Bank. I'm the Institutional and Business Development Manager. Thank you so much for tuning into Chamber Chat Live today. Whatever you were doing, whether you were eating lunch or maybe you got one eye on your work monitor and the other eye on us, we greatly thank you for being a part of this today. We also wanted to thank Eileen, who is running that comment section back at the Facebook bunker in the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce in Pottstown, right in the heart there. And then also to the Ben Exchange, your friends for business benefits. Drew, was that interview everything you wanted it to be?
Oh, absolutely. It's fantastic to know that you've got an amazing resource here in the Coventry area, the Pottstown borough, and all around the region itself. That's a great tip. I mean, I really love that question. About if you're entering the market or considering entering the market, getting your home set, that you have a resource. And before you sink all kinds of money into DIY projects, as Meredith had just mentioned, perhaps it's a good idea to reach out to a realtor to guide you through that process. And those are the experts that you really need to rely on if you're considering selling your home or even buying a home. Like, what things should you be considering on both ends of the processes? But yeah, absolutely great interview. Meredith, you're always welcome back to hang out. If there's new stuff, just let us know and we'll get you back on here on Chamber Chat Live. Listen, on behalf of Bill and the Tri-County Area Chamber of Commerce, you've been watching Chamber Chat Live. If you are a local business or a local business who needs a little bit more exposure here in the Pottstown area or up and down the 422 corridor, reach out to us. Reach out to the Chamber of Commerce and let us know that you'd like to get your business a little bit more attention here by way of Facebook Live. Listen, we're going to come back here again next Monday and next Wednesday with 2 more additional episodes of Chamber Chat Live. Bill, you did an amazing job. Meredith, you were an amazing guest. Please do us a favor. Go ahead and visit StyerRealEstate.com. They do have a Facebook page that we've tagged up above in the description, and we'll make sure that we make a link to their Facebook page as well. Go over, give them a like, follow them, all that kind of stuff. Listen, Meredith spent some time with us today to share some invaluable information. The least that we can do is share this episode wherever you might be seeing this. Go ahead and visit Styer Real Estate on Facebook, as well as go ahead and visit their web address as well at StyerRealEstate.com. So until next time, I'm Drew Griffin for Delicious Marketing, and on behalf of Bill Vitiello and back at the Chamber headquarters, Eileen Dowtrick. So thanks so much, everybody. Be safe out there, and we'll catch up to you next week.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
See you, everybody.